think a lot of people might view their IT company as just another utility, or their internal IT is just another utility. They might try and optimize that cost and make it as cheap as possible. But what's the problem with cheap IT? Why can't, a medical practice use cheap IT?
Because it's really expensive.
Well, if you're a business owner, if you're a doctor, obviously you want to be concentrating on, visiting with patients and, focusing on your business. And IT is a big chore. Let's face it, guys. I mean, it takes a lot to maintain a network, to be looking for these threats, to be purchasing gear. It's a lot for business to handle on their own.
Mm-hmm. When we were talking about those security threats that can be wildly expensive, Andrew, going off what you said, cheap IT is expensive. At the end of the day, it might not be that month-to-month cost, but it's going to show up in a disaster later down the line. Not if, but when that happens.
The big thing, like Hank said, is like the whole point of like being a good IT service is we want you to be able to focus on your stuff. We want you to be a doctor. We want you to work on building buildings. We don't want you thinking about our stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what good IT service provides, is you can focus on the thing that you decided to do your whole life.
Yeah. Let's pretend you put two law offices next to each other, and one of them is investing in their technology and the other one's not. Like, the one that is, they absolutely are going to be more competitive in their space. They're going to be able to accomplish more in a given day. Like, it can be a force multiplier. Like, if you have tech that's working in your favor, like, it's a competitive advantage over your competition, and things that you can do that they can't, things you can do faster than they can't, things you can do with less people than they can or can't. And so you can't just look at that IT line item. What you actually have to look at is that IT line item as it compares to all of these other aspects of the business, like your folks' productivity and whether or not it's something that can make you more competitive and maybe even allow you to do some stuff that you weren't able to do before. I heard a phrase the other day of anybody can work for anybody from anywhere in the world that we live in right now. And so that might be a competitive advantage for you. And so if you need like an expert lawyer that knows a certain something, but he lives in New York City and doesn't want to move to Texas, but you need him on your team, well, can you put tech together that could allow that guy to be part of your team and change your business, change your law firm in some way or another? So I want our clients to look at how tech can actually be something that can make them competitive and how they can be better than their peers, not just as you don't win by just driving your IT costs down as low as you possibly can. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is to figure out how to make it be competitive.
So I think a lot of organizations, they think of IT and they think of it as break fix, and that's it. And it sounds like that's the old standard. Where the industry is moving now is using IT to boost your business and boost your bottom line, allowing you to do what you're doing, but better. And that's where the industry's headed.
It's not a point in time solution anymore. Although we're professionals in the same way that a lawyer or a CPA is, like, you need that law firm to help your business for a point in time. They're going to do a project, they're going to work on a case, they're going to do a contract. It's a point in time, you pay them, and then you're done. Same thing with your CPA firm. There's probably a couple times during the year where you're going to use a lot of CPA time, and then certain times where you're not. This stuff has to run 24 hours a day, every day. And so it's not just a point in time repair to the problem. It's like ongoing care and feeding and planning around your IT environment. Like, it's its own animal that we're trying to take care of.
So, it sounds like when I'm talking with people, sometimes they ask me, does it need to be so expensive? And that brings me back to the fact, yes, because it's more expensive to not pay that upfront cost. And over time, you're going to see that benefit by boosting your business through that investment.
Yeah, more expensive compared to what? Compared to paying somebody by the hour to fix it? Yes. More expensive compared to like all of your payroll costs? No. More expensive compared to winning a certain deal with a client? No. More expensive than having to notify every one of your patients that you got breached? Never. Like, more expensive, like, compared to what?
Yeah. And that brings me to another piece of it. When they say that, usually what comes next is I can just do that myself. what would you guys have to say in response to that, Andrew? Through purchasing, that's got to take a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not extraordinarily difficult, but it is time consuming and labor intensive. It's just something that you shouldn't have to do. A lot of people can do individual tasks that somebody else can, but you didn't choose to go into business to do what I do. You went to school to be a doctor. You went to school to be a lawyer. Do that because you're better at that than me. By all means, please do that thing.
Yeah, and that's just one aspect of it. Hank, through the recommendations that you provide to our clients, a lot of research and time goes into building out those roadmaps for them. Could one person do that, make purchases, build out that strategy, and be a doctor or a lawyer at one time?
Sure. Yeah. But they wouldn't be good at all of those things at the same time, right? So that's kind of the point. Technology, it changes so much. I remember going off to college and we got the family PC, when I went off, because you upgraded that system and, those days are gone. You get a new iPhone. Yeah, absolutely. You get a new iPhone every 2 years, right? It's not a phone, it's a computer. So think about it in that sense. So if you don't have somebody looking at those things early enough, you're going to get surprised by them. You may walk into your office and say, oh no, I can't open this program because I have to update it. So you need somebody to be looking at that. So that's where our roadmaps come into play, where we're looking, 12 to 18 months out for the gotchas, so we don't have to come in and walk into a bad scenario.
I'd submit even that any company that's got less than 200 people, you can't even hire a single IT person to do all of the things that they need to do anymore. The skill set is too diverse. It's too hard to keep up with all of the IT things. And one person can't do it all. That's why we have a team of people here. That's why we've invested in that way here, is it takes all kinds of different people with different skill sets to really give that holistic picture and plan of what your company's IT really should look like. It's too much to put that on one person's shoulders.
You bet.